Adventure Time. It's a cartoon, so you might expect to see some pretty wacky and physics-defying things, right? Well, that's what I wanted to talk about. Today we are going to analyze this scene right here, in which everybody here, for the exception of Peppermint Butler, seemed to survive a nuclear explosion. So, first we are going to analyze how big was the explosion, and also how much energy did it release, because that actually plays a huge role in the destructive power of a nuclear explosion. So the first thing that I wanted to clarify is that this is not a nuclear explosion because the source of the explosion is not nuclear in nature. There is no splitting or fusing of any atoms here. It apparently is just vampire essence getting spilled out of a bucket, which literally causes a mushroom cloud shaped explosion, which is indicative of a small nuclear explosion, if not a large amount of TNT being detonated. So the first thing we really need to do is find out how tall the cabin is, because doing so will give us a scale or a unit of measurement in which we could measure the actual size of the nuclear explosion. I'm just going to call it mushroom cloud. Yeah, mushroom cloud. So thankfully we are given this wonderful shot, which makes it a whole lot easier to analyze this. And of course the very next thing I did was find out how tall Princess Bubblegum is, which is a resounding 5'10", which is my height, believe it or not. So from analyzing that shot, I found that it took approximately, 3.5 Princess Bubblegums to make up the height of the cabin. So whenever you take that number and multiply it by 3.5, what that comes out to is approximately 20.4 feet. Which is not incredibly unbelievable for a cabin. Now the question we gotta ask ourselves next is, of course, how many cabins does it take to make up a mushroom cloud? Only on this channel, guys. Only on this channel. So when taking into consideration the angling of the image in that shot that we just showed, and the height of the mushroom cloud whenever it's in its pyrocumulonimbus phase, I found that just before the cloud dissipates in this shot, it takes up approximately 14.5 cabins. And while I would love to say that this is an unheard of nuclear explosion that we have never seen in the history of the world, it really isn't. It's kind of underwhelming, actually. The height of that mushroom cloud before it dissipates is approximately 300 feet tall. Now here is where things get difficult. That's because there are so many variables that come to determining the nuclear yield of an explosion. Now, there is a Korean company out there called Jinghee So Choi Seungji. I am probably mispronouncing the shit out of that. But ultimately, they have a patent for a formula out there for determining the nuclear yield using a nuclear explosion mushroom cloud images. Their formula looks like this. Nope, since I'm not an atomic physicist, there is no way that I can get this right. I came out with several different answers whenever I tried to plug in values within this formula. I think there's a couple mistranslations on the website, I don't know. But there is actually a much easier way to solve this dilemma. Because the size of a mushroom cloud is directly proportional to the yield of a nuclear explosion, we could just set up a simple proportion to figure this out. You know me, I love my 6th grade math. Anyways, what we're going to do is take the size of this explosion and compare it to the size of relatively small nuclear explosions like the one produced by the little boy. So while we do not know the exact updraft speed of the Hiroshima mushroom cloud, what we do know is that the updraft speed of higher yield explosions reaches about 300 miles an hour, which is around 0.08 miles per second or 422 feet. So if we're comparing the updraft speeds of these two mushroom clouds, then after 3 seconds, which is the approximate length of the clip that we saw earlier, then that means that after 3 seconds, the Hiroshima cloud rises approximately 1,267 feet. So here is whenever our proportion comes into play. We'll have the 300 feet for the height of the other mushroom cloud, the original one that we were looking at and analyzing earlier, but we do not know the yield of that one. Over on the other side of this proportion, we're going to have 1,267 feet for the initial 3-second height of the mushroom cloud produced by the little boy over 1,600 tons of TNT. So if we take that 300 feet, that is the height of the mushroom cloud we were analyzing, and multiply it by 1,600 tons of TNT, which was the yield of the little boy, and divide that by 1,267 feet, which was the height after 3 seconds, approximately, for the little boy explosion. What we can do is we can actually calculate or approximate the yield for this explosion that we just witnessed, which came out to approximately 378 tons of TNT, which really isn't a spectacular amount if you think about it. Now, for all you curious folk out there, this is what that explosion would look like if it was detonated in the middle of downtown Dallas. See, the explosion isn't very large, so the fallout radius would actually be bigger than the fireball itself. It would kill approximately 5,000 people though, which is still not very great. Now think about this. You saw that shot, right? Finn was literally asleep right next to Jake, and Jake was asleep too. Yet they both somehow managed to survive an explosion that would kill 5,000 people. How? I have no idea. I don't get it. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If y'all did and you want to see more content like in the future, please make sure to let me know by hitting that like and subscribe button down below, because for one, it would really help me out, and two, really help motivate me to create more content for y'all. Other than that, I hope you have a great night. Thank you so much for watching.